Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Conversations from Stritch. Today is Thursday, May 9th, 2024. I'm Dr. David Livingston, president of Lewis University, and I'm joined by Dr. Christopher Sin, our provost today. It has been another busy and very inspiring week. Yesterday afternoon, we did host the first round of the NCAA Division II Men's Lacrosse Championships. It was so great. It was great to be able to host this major national event on campus, and we pulled out an 11-10 victory against Maryville. It was amazing because it was really, in many respects, a repeat of the previous weekend. We won the conference championship against Maryville 11-10, and we won the first round of the national tournament against Maryville 11-10, and you can see the guys celebrating there. It was a great, great start to the national tournament. We're now one of 8 teams that are still in the tournament, and we'll head down to Florida this weekend. We had our final community hour of the spring semester yesterday with activities for students to take a break from the stress of finals. So we had mocktails and mindfulness, make and take origami, super snacks, as well as a music recital showcase. Tonight, we have 2 events that I'm really looking forward to. Our final recognition ceremonies of this kind of spring set of events where we celebrate different people throughout the university. The College of Business will have its recognition ceremony, and the College of Humanities, Fine Arts, and Communications will celebrate its graduating seniors this evening as well. Our residential students that are not graduating have been moving out all week. I've been seeing vans and trucks and cars being packed up as brothers and sisters and moms and dads come to pick up their family members. We hope that they have a safe journey home as they wrap up finals and a wonderful summer. We also want to acknowledge that there are many reasons to stay on campus. There are people that do the SURE program. There are people that help out with summer camps. And I do want to just remind everybody that it's still possible to sign up for summer school. Classes start on Monday. There are other start dates for other programs, but the main start is Monday for the majority of classes. And then, of course, we have a huge weekend, 4 commencement ceremonies. We'll be talking more about that with our guest later, but Friday night and 3 on Saturday. We'll also, be looking forward to, again, seeing all family and friends and cousins and aunts and uncles. And just a reminder for those that are watching this online, if you can't fly in, drive in to Romeoville, you can watch those ceremonies live streamed. All 4 of them will be live streamed, and it's an opportunity for us to be able to share our celebration of the graduates with those family and friends who can't make it to Romeoville. So, Chris, you have some exciting things to talk about as well.
Sure. Looking forward to those recognition ceremonies tonight, as well as all of the commencement activities starting tomorrow and over the weekend. But a few pieces of news and updates. A reminder that the Lewis University St. Augustine College merger is still in progress. We continue to make strides toward integration and the formal conclusion of the merger. The second phase of it will be a union of students and academic portfolios, and will be approved by the Department of Education in the next 4 to 12 months. So maybe by the end of summer, we'll might be getting some good news as we enter the fall semester from the Department of Ed. As part of that process, we hosted a 2-day Higher Learning Commission visit on Monday and Tuesday this week. 2 people visiting, a 2-person visiting team was both on our campus here in Romeoville, as well as on and meeting with Lewis leadership, including faculty and staff leaders, as well as an afternoon at St. Augustine, meeting with St. Augustine administration, faculty, and students. All indicators seem positive, and we hope to receive their formal review in the next month of that visit. Also, the Oak Point Teach Out is progressing quickly. Oak Point closed on April 19th, and Lewis was approved as a formal Teach Out institution for the students at Oak Point so that they may continue their programs of study. Lewis is especially well positioned to serve this role because of the significant overlap between our mutual nursing and health science programs and the fact that our Oak Brook campus is only a few blocks from their Oak Brook location. This is also an opportunity for us to alleviate some of the stress and mitigate the disruption on Oak Point students that they've been experiencing with the closure of their university. A teach out is a formal process guided by the Higher Learning Commission and allows Lewis to assume responsibility for the completion of academic programs that were offered by Oak Point. Affected students can transfer all credits and continue their studies at Lewis, earning their degree at Lewis. And just a reminder, there are about 450 students enrolled in the spring at Oak Point. About 75 of those graduated. Now, the vast majority of the remaining students have enrolled during 4 orientation sessions held over the last couple of weeks. As of today, 315 Oak Point students have enrolled at Lewis, and that number continues to grow, but we're getting close to the beginning of the term, as you said, next week. In order to prepare for this new influx of students, we're adding additional course sections, hiring some of the faculty and staff from Oak Point to teach and support the students, preparing additional labs and learning spaces, and much more. So thanks to everyone who is working so hard to make this teach out successful. Since so many Oak Point students are future nurses, as well as is our guest today, this might be a good time to mention that this is National Nurses Week.
Awesome.
This year's theme, Nurses Make the Difference, honors the incredible nurses who embody the spirit of compassion and care in every healthcare setting. So in addition to the reasons I mentioned before, one of our primary motivations for the teach out of Oak Point is the opportunity to make a big community impact by helping to prepare more nurses to make a positive impact in our communities. So thanks to all the nurses and healthcare providers who work serving Lewis students directly, and thanks to our many nursing professors who make an impact in the classroom, in their profession, and in the myriad healthcare settings they have been a part of. And then one other piece of news, on April 12th, Lewis University's College of Business students earned 3rd place in the 3rd annual Lasallian B-School Societal Impact Case Competition, where they provided solutions to ethical dilemmas. So the Lasallian community, we've talked about many times, includes 64 universities across the globe. Our College of Business students participated in competition with 9 other schools. They analyzed previous business decisions, company structure, and proposed innovative solutions on the HBR case called Theranos, who had blood on their hands. By the way, I saw the presentation by this class at the Celebration of Scholarship. It was amazing, so interesting how they broke down the case in many different angles, from a human resources perspective to ethics in valuation of stock and everything in between. It was really, really amazing. And the Lewis University team who competed was taken from that class, enrolled, taught by Dr. Elizabeth Belgio, and the class is called Strategic Management. And their names are Jacqueline Manriquez, Aaron Novakovic, and Kyle Godin. So congratulations to them. Dr. Zheng Zhao, Assistant Professor of Business Analytics, served on the planning committee, as well as the Lewis University team faculty advisor, and Dr. Mark Napier served as a judge for this year's competition. So as you mentioned, commencement's coming up.
Yep.
I think we have maybe a slide to show with all of the different specific areas that are being celebrated.
And just a quick thing on that, competition. What's nice about that, as you said, it's a part of these competing with the other 64 universities, but they were from all over the world. I think there were some schools from the Philippines that competed, some schools from Europe, so as well as other universities from the United States. So that was great. So commencement this weekend. So that slide shows that tomorrow night we have the graduate ceremony for the College of Business and the College of Education and Social Sciences. That'll start at 7 p.m. Again, for family and friends. With all these ceremonies, there are enough seats for everybody who has a ticket. Remember, you have to have a ticketed. It's a ticketed event. But if you want a certain kind of seat, you want to get here relatively early. That doesn't mean you need to get here at 4 o'clock for a 7 p.m. But getting here at 6 or 6:30 is probably not a bad idea.
6.
Just to get yourself into the building. Starting thinking about arriving around 6 is a good idea. Then on Saturday, May 11th, we have 3 commencement ceremonies. 9 a.m. is the graduate ceremony for COAST, our College of Aviation Science and Technology, and then the College of Nursing and Health Sciences, which will have graduates in multiple disciplines, just like COAST will. At 1 p.m., we have the undergraduate ceremony for COAST, as well as Nursing and Health Sciences and Humanities, Fine Arts, and Communications. So 3 colleges on the undergraduate level at 1. And then at 5 p.m., we will have the final ceremony of the weekend, which is our undergraduate ceremony for the College of Business, as well as the College of Education and Social Sciences. So we are excited about this weekend. It's always just a great pleasure to be able to share the weekend with family and friends. We do have a few other events this weekend that are going on. As I mentioned about lacrosse, lacrosse will be playing on Sunday. They'll be, playing in the second round of the national championship. We have the GLVC tournament for our baseball team, and then we also have the men's lacrosse traveling, and softball is also traveling this weekend. So we also have another set of events that are happening, faculty recognition reception on May 14th. Next week, the May Institute, a lot of activities around the May Institute, so there's just a lot of stuff going on next week, even though the students are going to be moving on. All of our graduates hopefully will be moving out of the residence halls unless they're staying for summer school. But we have a faculty recognition ceremony. We have the May Institute, we have the St. Augustine Commencement Mass, as well as the St. Augustine Commencement Ceremonies, which are next weekend, so on the 17th and 18th. And then we have our town hall. So for all of our faculty and staff, just please, there's going to be a lot of fun activity type, eating and being together, as well as just a wrap up of the year where we'll be able to talk about what's going on and what's happened this year at the town hall that starts at 10. So lots of exciting stuff going on in the next week, but we also have a great guest with us today.
Yeah,
Chris.
And maybe right before I introduce our guest, I'll just say a quick word about what May Institute is. I think that would be, some people watching may not be familiar with that, but it is the week after after commencement. Our faculty and staff come together to essentially learn from each other and talk together about different aspects of the profession of teaching and supporting students. So anything from, there's a session on celebrating or supporting diversity in classroom instruction, all the way to presentations by our healthcare providers about supporting students with mental health issues and so on. And so many members of the community attend those sessions. It goes for 3 days next week, and come out of it kind of with more knowledge and more preparation for either teaching in the summer or continuing to do their professional work as staff members, or coming back to teach in the fall. And so we're really excited about that little time that we take aside to learn and continue to grow as professionals. Mm-hmm. So before I introduce our guest, I also want to remind everyone that if you want to email in a question, please use the askus@lewis.edu email address that's on the bottom of the screen. And remember, if you are watching it live, please do it right away, and we'll get the questions into the conversation. And if you're watching it on YouTube and have a question just about anything we are talking about or anything related to Lewis, please feel free to still use the email address, and we will respond to the email. So each semester, Lewis offers an undergraduate student the opportunity to deliver the Lasallian Student Commencement Address. Unlike a traditional valedictorian address that you might see at other commencement ceremonies, this is a somewhat unique speaking opportunity. The student chosen for this honor is asked to speak about how the Catholic and Lasallian mission of Lewis has had an impact on their college experience. This is the only such experience at Lewis that provides a graduate with the opportunity to address his or her student colleagues, faculty, guests, and family during the commencement weekend. It is truly a great honor and a unique, rewarding experience. So I'm really pleased to introduce this year's Lasallian speaker, Sofia J. She is a senior nursing student with a passion for service. She has served as the Vice President of the Muslim Student Association, fostering inclusivity and understanding on campus. She has also dedicated her time to Lewis as a peer tutor, helping fellow students excel academically. And of course, she is with us today because she was chosen this year as our Lasallian Commencement Speaker, and we are very much looking forward to hearing her speak, but more importantly, speaking with her right now. So welcome, Sofia.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining us,
I'm
Sophia.
so excited to be here.
It's great to have you. So, let's, maybe we can just start with just a little background on you. So, kind of where'd you grow up? How'd you hear about Lewis? That kind of thing. But I mean, just maybe a little bit about your family and your life before you got here.
So I was born in California, and then I moved to Wisconsin, then New Jersey, then Illinois.
Wow.
Okay.
But I was 6 years old when we moved to Illinois. So
Okay.
I was
So
like,
you've been here most of
most of my life.
memory life, I
but like
guess.
I could tell people I was born in California.
Yeah, that's great.
Definitely from Illinois. And so then I lived in Naperville my whole life,
Okay.
since I was 6, and then I went to Neuqua Valley High School, and then when I graduated from there, I knew I wanted to be a nurse when I was a freshman in high school. So then I
Okay.
kind of like just looked up like
And
nursing
so
programs.
is that something, Sophia, that you, like when you say you knew that as do you have people in your family? Do you have mom,
I'm
dad?
the first nurse in my family.
First nurse.
Yeah.
So tell me about that. So I was going to ask you like what you were involved in high school, but
Yeah.
so was that? Tell me where that sense of nursing started. If nobody else in your family.
So when I was actually a freshman, my mom got breast cancer.
Okay.
And then she also had a brain tumor that same year. So just kind
Wow.
of like her being in and out of the hospital is kind of
Wow.
like, I got to see like the impact that nurses have on a family.
Yeah.
And I was
Yeah.
like, I really want to do that for somebody.
Yeah,
So
totally
that's
makes
kind of like where it
sense.
started.
I'm sorry to hear that.
She's doing well now.
I saw her at
Yeah,
the
we met her.
event the other
Yeah.
day, so she's doing very well. So
Wonderful.
the medical community has helped her out a lot, and I'm sure for you and your siblings, because I think we met your siblings, so you're the oldest,
I'm the second oldest.
second
Okay.
oldest.
Yeah.
Okay,
My
so
older sister wasn't there that day, but she'll be at commencement.
okay, so that would have been a traumatic experience to have your mom go through that, and so the nurses and the whole probably healthcare team would have been impactful on your life. So then tell me a little bit about choosing Lewis as the nursing school that you decided to go to, maybe as opposed to other places, or
I liked that it was one close to home, so I could commute, because just being close to family has always been super important to me. I also just love the program. Like I kind of like just looked up like other people's experiences, and I'd only seen like good things about it.
Yeah.
The hospitals that they kind of fed into were hospitals that I could see myself working at. So it was also nice to like kind of build that connection early, so it's not like as soon as you graduate you're like, oh, I don't know what to do. Like
Right. Right.
I'm a nurse, but I don't like have any connections or like kind of like know what I want to do.
Yeah,
So we wanted to like experience those different areas.
sure.
And then once I started, I was like, oh, wow, this is a really great nursing school. And the faculty and staff have been wonderful.
Yeah, they are wonderful. So since we're talking about this, and I think if somebody's watching and they're interested in going into a nursing program or going into a nursing program at Lewis, what is that experience like that maybe just talk about the rotation part and how you encounter different hospitals and different settings that you might
we
work in
start
eventually.
Clinicals are sophomore 2 semester. So that's like halfway through your sophomore 2 semester. And the first one's like super like observational. Like you're like the little baby nurse, like you're scared of your own shadow. So
Yeah.
like they kind of like really ease you into it, which is nice. But you get to start early enough that it's like you get that experience early on. So a lot of people like kind of decide if they want to be a nurse like when they're actually in the clinical setting, and it happens early enough that if people do realize like, oh, this isn't for
not
me,
for me.
Yeah.
it's still early enough in their college career that they're not like, oh great, like now I'm 4
Yeah.
years over and I don't
Yeah.
even want to be a nurse.
Right.
And then they pick the hospitals sort of like where they have availability.
Right.
But like it's kind of cool because once you become a senior and you do your role transition clinical, you get a little more choice of like what you're interested in. So I did
Okay.
psych for mine
Okay.
because I wanted to get more experience in psych to see if that's something that I want to pursue after
So
graduation.
before that, you get introduced to different specialties, like in smaller chunks.
So like we basically see like peds, OB, labor and delivery. We do a couple ER days, the ICU. So we get to see like a few med surg clinicals. So we get to see like every area of the hospital.
And among your peers, well, maybe this is a joint thing. So where your interests lie after doing all of those, being exposed to all of that. And is there, among, let's say, the, 40 or 50 nurses that are graduating as a part of your kind of cohort, do they tend to split up evenly, or there's a lot of us that really want to be in med surg and very few of us that want to be in peds? Or do you have a sense of that from your friends?
I think a lot of people are actually interested in critical care. I think partly the reason behind that could be because we just did critical care. And so everyone's like, oh, like every time we start something, everyone's like, oh,
we did was great.
Yeah. Like, oh, I could see myself doing this. I could see
funny.
myself doing this. But critical care is definitely one of those that a lot of people are focused in right now. And then of course, like anything with kids, I think a lot of us want to do like the fun kid ones.
Right.
But I think there's a pretty even split of like what people want to do.
And I want to go back to, you said, you looked at people's experiences. You just got done talking about these clinical rotations and your experience with them. But I think what I heard you saying basically is you're a high school senior, you're looking at nursing schools. For you, it was important that Lewis was close, but you also heard that they had a good experience. They meaning these juniors and seniors, sophomores that were in nursing. I'm interested in how that actually happens these days. So is that an Instagram thing? Is that
He's trying to ask you to explain social media.
Yes, yeah, because I'm an old guy. No, but I guess I'm just interested in like, where do you go to find out about the nursing experience when in this day and age? Is that where you go? Like you looked at?
Yeah, like I kind of just like went online and kind of read like a lot of like Google reviews, and like this is maybe not the best way to like look, but like rate my professor.
Okay.
And obviously take all of that with a grain of salt because they're not
sure.
all going to be like
Right.
accurate. Like you get a bad grade and got the worst review in the whole world.
Right.
But definitely like just kind of like looking at that, seeing like what people liked, what people didn't like.
Yeah.
I know like on Rate My Professor they also have like Rate My School, so like they kind of like rate
Sure.
the different areas, and
Right.
like they had like involvement with clubs and stuff is like one of the higher ones on there.
Sure.
So I was like, oh, like that's kind of cool because I think I'd like to be part of clubs.
Yeah, I mean, it's so fascinating to me because what I love about what you just said is there's a savviness to our prospective students. They're not just reading any of these, whether it's Rate My Professor or a Instagram post, and taking it for faith because you understand how you yourself and your peers use social media, and then you can read through that and get a sense of it. Yeah.
So you mentioned being interested in clubs. So I mentioned a couple activities, the MSA and the tutoring. I guess is more than a club. But how did you go about that? Like I'm curious if you have advice for people like who are first year students. How did you go about like deciding what you were going to do and connect? What opportunities you were going to connect to?
I think there is like an involvement fair at Lewis, and if you go to that, you see so many clubs at Lewis that you didn't even know about. Like even when we like our MSA participated in that first, when we participated in it for the first time, I was like, oh wow, like I didn't even know we had a club like this, or like SNA, which is like Student Nurse Association, or any of those. You're like, oh, like that's actually a really unique opportunity. So like definitely those involvement fairs. Going to those. There's also like the grand calendar online. So like just looking through that and being like, okay, might not be like the most interesting thing, but I'm just going to attend one. And it's nice because it's not like you're not committed to it forever. You don't have to sign up for it, but if you just like attend it, check it out, and you're like, oh, I kind of like this. Or maybe you don't. So you kind of switch over to something else.
Well, and you've had such a significant impact. So maybe you could talk a little bit about the Muslim Student Association. I've felt like in the last 4 years, it's really, it's grown. It's kind of place in the institution has grown. The attendance at some of these, the org fairs, the involvement fairs. So I don't know, I mean, maybe you could talk a little bit about, because you're a leader as a part of that group. So could you talk a little bit about your experience, maybe the 4-year arc of what you've seen for the MSA?
So we actually started MSA as juniors, like our
exist.
End of our sophomore year,
Right.
and then like the first semester of junior is kind of like when we really like created like the Muslim Student Association.
Which
like
is
before it was like
last year.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It feels like such a long
But
time
did
ago.
you, when you
I know, you
came,
think
were
about,
there were Muslim students who would get together, but it wasn't a formal thing, or not?
So I think because of COVID, like a lot of the the
maybe
Juma prayer
I
on
think it
Friday
did
kind of got
exist
thrown
before.
off.
Yeah, that's my sense.
It did exist, but like it wasn't like super active.
Yeah,
Right.
And especially with like COVID and things, like
Right.
people kind of like found alternatives to like praying in congregation on Fridays. Like there's like a mosque not too far from here, so I know a lot of people would go there.
Right.
But it was nice to kind of like bring it back to Lewis,
Sure.
and then like we met like a ton of friends here, and also we're able to like do like a lot of interfaith things with the brothers on campus, and like we've had like a really good relationship with the ministry.
Right.
So it's been awesome.
It's great.
But yeah.
And it's how many students are actively involved to some degree? Because I mean, I've been to events with 50 people there.
Yeah,
right?
so like weekly it's typically like 30 to 35 that are just like praying and eating with us.
Yeah,
And then like
yeah.
when we have like a bigger event, then it's usually like 50. Like we just had a bonfire on Friday.
Oh, really?
There was a ton of
that's right.
people that
we
came.
announced it on the show last week.
Yeah.
I
It was
remember,
super
yeah.
fun.
Was it?
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. And so what was that like, and where did you do it? Like, it was food, prayer, bonfire, or what was it? Yeah.
Yeah,
There's
so
only
we,
one place where people are allowed to have bonfires.
so we did it in the
Tell
back.
me the place that people are allowed to have bonfires on campus. Sofia, he's being obnoxious. Go ahead.
We did it in the backyard.
Thank you.
We actually had a little bit of an issue with the bonfire pit. We weren't
Okay.
able to turn it on.
Oh, no.
But it was warm enough. so
Was it one
fun.
of the new pits?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, it was a new one. Okay. I
Yeah.
thought it
Because
was
then
the
there are
old one.
multiple pits.
Yeah, that's the traditional old
I-
one where you have
right.
parties and barbecues.
Yes, yes, yes.
Because we weren't able to get the gas on
Oh,
for
that's
whatever reason.
frustrating.
But
Did you finally get it on, or never?
No, but we had a
my
good
God.
time.
So we didn't
You've really pushed a button here.
Now you're
This is a sensitive
pushing my
topic.
own button. Yeah, exactly.
No, we had a really good time though. We played volleyball. A lot of people like stayed pretty late. We had tacos. It was a good time. And it was like a
Nice.
good way to like end our
Nice. Yeah.
MSA for
Yeah,
a year.
that's nice. And you know, that group of leaders that are graduating have done such an amazing
Yeah.
job. And
They really have.
I know I've talked to Professor Sartell about making sure it continues, and you know, after you're gone, it's always an issue that people become great student leaders and then graduate and move on, and we have
We
to
were
try
able to find
sustain
a
these
pretty good
traditions.
board.
And
I was going to
So
say you
we're-
elected new
Yes.
board members.
So
Good.
we're
That's great.
excited and hopeful that they'll be able to carry it on. And they
great.
seem excited about it as well.
That's great.
So I kind of wanted to shift gears a little bit around, you know, it's also been a really hard, painful year, you know, and we just kind of wanted to ask you a little bit about how the events of October 7th have impacted the whole community, your family, you know, and just if you could reflect on that a little bit, that would be.
It was definitely difficult. It's still difficult. I think it might not be getting as much attention in the media, but like our students are still seeing it like on social media, like on the daily.
Yeah.
Most recently, like there's a city called Rafah that's being
Right.
like bombarded, and it's like the only safe place
Yeah.
in all of Gaza. So it's definitely been difficult. There's a lot of our friends who've lost family. Like a few people in MSA are from Gaza. So just like seeing them like struggling has been difficult. It's been nice though, because at Lewis we have a lot of support, and we have been able to like advocate for Palestine and kind of like raise awareness about it. We did a fundraiser, we've had informational sessions. I've seen that like Tariq Khalil came to Lewis, and we've had like a lot of those discussions, which is nice. So it's been difficult, but the support has been there as well, which is nice.
Yeah.
And I mean, we at Lewis and the brothers, you talked about how nice it's been for the MSA to have a relationship with the brothers. And the brothers, some of the brothers here, and certainly many of them have friends who have spent much of their career in Bethlehem, not in Gaza, but a Palestinian area. And I've been to Bethlehem University. It's an amazing place. And so that it's that, I guess I just want to emphasize what you're saying, that those personal relationships, even if it's not your specific family who has family in Gaza, knowing people who you care about, even if it's another member of the MSA or even just a family friend or somebody that you know at the mosque, it really, those webs of relationships have an impact on you, and it's very sobering and very painful to, you know, you're saying it for yourself, but I think for the brothers, it's been a really painful time to watch what's happening, because Bethlehem University had to shut down this spring. And so those students also, we've had many students come from Bethlehem University, and having to go through checkpoints and all that stuff is very, very difficult. So I appreciate you sharing just your experience with that with us. It's a really challenging process. So one of the things, one of the reasons you're here is because you're going to be giving the speech to the whole group. I don't know if you're nervous about that all, speaking to 1,000 or 2,000 people. Yeah. So why did you decide to go through the process of applying for? Because it's a process in which, instead of, as Dr. Sint was saying, at many schools the valedictorian is based on somebody's GPA, right? So that student doesn't apply to be the valedictorian. They're kind of applying every semester as they get their grades. You made a choice, a conscious choice, to say, I'd like to have an opportunity to speak to my peers and to these families. So what led to that?
Honestly, just being able to thank everybody, my family, the faculty and staff at Lewis. That opportunity presented itself, and I felt very honored to be even asked or nominated, and just being able to get up there and kind of just, hopefully we'll see on Saturday what happens, but inspire somebody to kind of just carry what they learned at Lewis and those Lasallian traditions that they learned at Lewis and kind of apply them to any area that they work in, either in their community or their family or their future job, just that sort of thing. That's what I hope happens on Saturday.
Sure.
That's kind of, and we're not allowed to ask you about the specifics because
we'll get in trouble.
Everyone, it's unveiled. The speech is unveiled on Saturday, but I know I have got to read it, so I know this isn't in the speech. How do you connect, so much of the, because of the assignment and because you wrote this beautiful reaction to a question about Lasallian, how the Lasallian values are lived in, your own personal experience of being at Lewis. You talk about all those concepts like social justice and empathy for others and association. How do you imagine that playing out for you as a nurse? I guess that's my question.
That's a good question.
Because part of the commencement is telling everybody in the audience, now you have to live these values. And how have you visualized that for yourself? I
think especially concern for the poor and social justice, I feel like being a nurse, you have to kind of serve the community without bias, without stereotypes. So I think learning that from Lewis, and I've really learned that through my nursing education, is just regardless if you agree with something or it's something that you would do, wouldn't do, serving the person as a whole, holistically, for what they want. So I think that's probably how I'd apply the Lasallian tradition to
that's great.
Lewis.
We're so proud of, Chris started with, celebrating nurses this week around the country, but, we're just so proud of we've been, you walk down that hall, I know you do it often, and there's these classes of nurses on both sides, right? Just all these nurses in their white hats and, because some of them are back from the 50s, right, or 60s. And that is just something that we're so proud of, and you'll be joining that group of, I'm sure, I don't know what the number is, but I'm sure we have 60,000 alumni, so I'm sure we have more than 1,000 nurses, probably in Chicagoland, at all these hospitals. Some of them are managing other nurses, some of them are running hospitals, some are chief nursing officers. Many are, delivering babies and working across all of these disciplines that you said. And we're just so excited for you and for your future, because you'll be one more of those many nurses that'll be out in the healthcare field, helping people through some really difficult
And I think
times.
many of our professors would say the same thing you said, of course, about impacting communities that have been impacted by poverty, by improving the quality of healthcare in those communities. But also what I hear so much is the individual relationships between a nurse and a patient in a stressful situation, as you experienced when you were a freshman in high school, or just the way that our Lewis nurses really are inspired by our faculty to care for each individual in this kind of way that we talk about in the Lasallian tradition, having privileging relationships between teachers and students.
And so any last things, either that, you kind of want to say, not your speech, but anything you want to say to, that we didn't ask you about in terms of either, your fellow nursing students, your faculty, anything that we should have talked about, but we didn't get to.
Well, not really. I think we kind of hit everything, but
great.
you'll hear more from me on
Yeah, I
Saturday.
know.
Okay, and then we
wanna-
got an email question that I don't totally understand, so I'm going to delicately talk you through it.
Okay.
So there's probably some family members watching this right now.
Okay.
And then, do you have a relative that maybe doesn't know you're giving the speech?
There is.
Okay,
My
tell us about
grandfather
that.
doesn't
And
know that.
apparently not watching the show.
hopefully not
Yeah, he's
watching
not
the show
watching the
right
show.
Okay.
My mom kind of spilled it to him. She's like, "Oh, she's going to be on a show on Thursday." And he was like, "What's it about?" And she's like, "Oh,
You
I
don't
think they
need to
canceled
watch
it." I'm like, "Oh,
They
interesting."
canceled
Okay, so now that we know we're not
not
unveiling a
spoiling
it.
secret,
Yeah,
tell
no.
us
But
about that.
my grandpa from my dad's side, he lives from Canada. I call him
Okay.
Dada.
Okay.
He typically falls asleep in every commencement he's ever been to. So
Wow.
I'm hoping for this one he stays awake.
Well, at least your dad will nudge
Yeah,
him,
I was
right?
like, hey,
when you
this
get
is-
up on stage.
He will not be alone.
I kind of wanted to surprise him just
Oh,
because
so
I've
cool.
told
So-
like everybody. So, I was
he'll
like, I'll
find
save it
out.
for one person.
Oh, I love that you did
So,
that.
yeah.
So you'll
So-
find out when we
That
don't
is so great.
make them hide the program from him.
Yeah.
He might wonder why you're up on stage.
That's
Yeah.
true.
as opposed to down with all the rest
You
of
may
it.
not notice.
He might think I got
But
kicked
he might
out.
not notice,
Just a bunch
right?
of
He might
people
not
wearing
notice.
robes. He
So,
may not notice.
Yeah. How exciting.
All
That's
right.
great.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations,
Thank you so much.
Sophia.
So honored to speak with you, and I look forward to. And you have to go to 2 commencements. That's the
I'm
other
excited.
reward.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time today, too, to
absolutely.
spend
Thank
some
you so
time
much
with
for
us
having me.
and share some of your experiences. So this is our last show of the year. It's hard to believe this is season 4 wrapping up. We will be back in August. I want to say just an immense thank you to all the faculty, all the staff, and all the students who have made this show possible by being guests or by being anybody behind the scenes that has done any of the production, any of the work that has made this possible. We are just so, so grateful. We hope you've enjoyed the show this year. We look forward to being back next fall for a new season of Conversations with Stritch, Conversations from Stritch, that is an opportunity for us to share all the exciting news and accomplishments of our students, faculty, staff, and alumni. Enjoy this weekend for those of you graduating. Enjoy the summer for those of you that get a little break. Many blessings to you and all those you love.